If you like to collect the modern Bugattis, you'll already have spent your 2 million on the Veyron. And you must have been so excited when the Chiron came out and you could spend another $3 million on one of those. But if you're one of the very select few, only 40 people, and you already at least own a Chiron, you may have been invited to buy the Divo at a cool almost $6 million. It may have cost you 6 million, but I think they're worth more like 8 million now, so you did pretty well. Hi and welcome back to the channel and this showcase series where we take a deep dive into one of the cars from my collections. This week it's a viewer request, and as you've already seen, it's the Bugatti Divo. In game it's the Truffade Thrax, and it's a superb looking car in real life or in game. If you pause the video and compare with the photos as they pop up, you'll see quite a few differences between this car and the real thing. The positioning of winglets, the flags on the side, the outlets over the arches, they've all been swapped front to back or moved around a bit. There's also a slightly more serious discrepancy at the rear we'll cover. All that said, this is an extremely good representation of a Divo and it's still instantly recognisable. What is the Divo? Well, it's a bespoke sort of coach built version of the Chiron. It has the same 1500 horsepower W16 engine, it has the same extreme performance, but the customer could really go to town on what combination of colours they wanted on the outside, on the wheels, on the interior. It's actually a very nice interior on this car. I've modelled mine on the last one that came off the production line. When you first buy one of these and head off down the road, there's quite a number of things that hit you early on. Number one is the noise, which of course is not hugely high revving. It's quite a low and cultured noise like you might expect from such a large engine. And the second is, not only is it riding the bumps nicely, which always helps in the game, but it seems very stable when you make changes of direction. If you have to avoid traffic or suddenly take a corner you weren't expecting or whatever, it's incredibly stable. When I got back into this car and drove it, and it's been a month or two since it was previously driven, I was thinking to myself, this car's not that fast, you know. Why did I buy it? Did I just buy it for the looks? But of course it's very deceiving. It's because of the way they've done the chassis on the car. It is easy, it is stable, and it actually therefore sort of feels slower than it really is. We're going to take it on the track soon, you'll see this is not a slow car at all. It's just one of the nicest and easiest cars to drive in the game. A little bit like the Nero, the Chiron, which we looked at a few weeks ago. It shares some of those same characteristics. We've come to my nightclub where I store my Pegassi Zorusso, which is the in-game version of the Italdesign 01. If you look at the 01 picture, look at the rear lights, look now at the rear lights of the Thrax, and you'll see in fact what they've done is taken the lights from one car and put them on the back of another. Perhaps not unusual. Of course, if we look at the Zorusso or the 01 in game, you can see it actually has the real tail lights from a Bugatti Divo. So yeah, we've had the back end swapped round, and that was what I was referring to earlier on. They are very similar styles of lights though, so it works really well. Okay, time for the track, and this was a very simple car really to do the track in. I did a 7-lap race as I normally do. On some cars I have to repeat this again and again because the car's all over the place and it takes me a while to get consistent, especially using a keyboard. Not this car. Easy over the bumps, great braking, good acceleration, very confident cornering, very little being thrown sideways or messed about with. And as you can see on the top right, I got a best lap of 53.621, but in fact I got somewhere between that and about 53.9 on quite a few of these 7 laps. I say it was very easy. Now if you compare this with the Chiron or the Truffade Nero that I did a few weeks ago, you'll see this is actually about 2 seconds a lap quicker than that car. And if you look at Bruff's testing tables, this car comes 9th for lap time. It's a little down on top speed, but it's overall almost a very competitive car in the class, just depending on how the other drivers are. Quick word on the customisation. A real Divo has not only 4 central exhausts but 2 down the sides. Well, we can't do that, but I think the carbon exhausts look the closest. A lot of items can stay stock. I'm not showing you those, of course, nor am I showing you the performance enhancing parts. We always want the xenon lights. I put the black stripe because the one I'm modelling it on has a stripe further along, although it doesn't really have it on the hood. The carbon side panel looks the best. For airflow purposes, the spoiler on a real Divo is connected to the car also by a central spine, as you can see on the photo. You can't have that in the game. You can have a spoiler called the Works, which has a central spine, but it's just far too big a spoiler. So I've actually gone for the carbon spoiler, which is much closer to the spoiler size, but then you have to do without the spine. In the trim category, go for the secondary trim. Sorry I didn't take a note of the blue paint I used, but I'll look it up and pop it in the pinned comments. For the wheels, just stick with the stock wheels, but if you need to paint them, look on Google. It's very easy to paint stock wheels indeed, and I've chosen gold to go with the version of the car that I chose. But remember, the car was bespoke. You could have anything you wanted, so really you can have anything you want. For the outro sequence, I thought I'd just weave the car in and out of the traffic because it's so good at that. And after the video finishes, I actually carried on right round the island at maximum speed until I finally had an accident. And if you look at the stats, 14.3 miles without a crash. I mean, it said nothing like that on there before. There's very few cars that I think I could take round the island at maximum speed without crashing for that distance. This is one, and I think the Nero is probably the other. So moving on to score the car. For looks, I'm going to give it 5 stars. I know I often go 5 stars, and there are some serious deficiencies in the way things have been moved around in the spoiler, but yet it all really works, and this is obviously a Divo. For driving, this was the tough one. Do I give it 4 or do I give it 5 stars? Normally I knock a point off for not being competitive, but in fact it's not far off the top of the tree, and I would think that a good driver in this could probably beat poorer drivers in Emirators and Kriegers, so I will actually go 5 stars for driving, if only just. I'm going 4 stars for value. I can't go 5 just because at $2.3 million it would need to be the absolute fastest in its class. But still, it is a great looking car, it's a great driving car, and I highly recommend it for your collection. If there's any car you'd like me to showcase, then please do let me know below. I'd love to do that for you. And otherwise, as always, thank you so much for watching.